There's that saying that a lot of times people plan their wedding, but they don't plan their marriage. When people who didn't grow up with pets have this fairy tale of like, oh, I'm going to get my pet and we're going to wear matching outfits. We're going to do all that. What would you say when it comes to training? Like in addition to finding the best trainer for you, I don't think people often think about the time and the training that needs to go into working with your animal just for them to kind of have a basic level. So like, what would you say is like the time commitment, or what should they really be aware of?
Yeah. Here's a sad statistic. Probably only about 10% of dog owners in the United States utilize any type of professional dog training services.
I believe that. I believe it.
It's low. And you mentioned the dog, or you mentioned the pet industry in general being, I think it's like it's anywhere from either 40 billion to 60 billion dollar industry. Pet training is the lowest. Like if you were doing a slice of pie, and each slice, like grooming is big. Professional dog grooming is big. Food, pet food is big. Treats is a big slice of pie. Collars, leashes, stuff like that, big piece of the pie. Dog training, very small piece of the pie. And I'll tell you why that is. Most people don't think to train their dog until they need it.
Yep.
They think, well, he's okay, he's pretty good. And people accept behavior in their dog until it's not acceptable anymore. A puppy doing that grabby thing, nippy, bitey when they're a baby, like, oh, it's just a puppy, it's just a puppy. When it gets to be a 90-pound, 11-month-old Cane Corso, not cute. But by then, you got a problem on your hands. Whereas if you had taken that cute little 10, 12-week-old Cane, well, they were never that small, but you know what I mean? They came out the womb like about that. But anyway, if you took them when they were 10 to 12 weeks, could have got that under control. You wait 90 pounds, 11-month-old, and they're puffing their chest out, then all of a sudden you got a problem that's not going to be solved easily. Here's the thing. I gotta say this. So a lot of people think if you have certain breeds of dogs, oh, this breed of dog needs a heavy hand. Oh, you gotta get that dog and show them who's boss and blah, blah, blah. Not if you start when they're 10, 12 weeks old. You don't. Yeah, you wait till they're 100 pounds and you've been letting them do it all their life, and you try to change the patterns. Remember I talked about that earlier? And they're like, no, I'm not changing anything. This was working for me. Then they might throw their weight around a little bit. They're big. Dogs know their size. They know when they're big. They know when they can pull you down. They know it. They're not dumb. They know I can pull you. I've seen you. I've done it. I've seen you fall. So if you wait till then the training becomes a lot more difficult. Not impossible. And you still could do it with positive reinforcement, but that's when you need a trainer that's really worth their salt and is going to be able to work that, because that is not an issue that you could even necessarily even use food for. Sometimes positive reinforcement can be many, many things, not only food. But anyway, so that's sad. People don't think about training until dog is doing something annoying. The calls I usually get are for potty training, where the dog is soiling the house. Then I always ask questions to people, like to try to get more background information. So potty training and not coming back when called and walking on the leash. I'm going to say those are the three things that people get most panicked about. But here's the thing that also is very common. Not when the dog's a puppy. These dogs are older. It's usually sometime when the dog's maybe a little bit over a year, when it starts becoming annoying. The potty training, usually what gets a lot of people to get serious about that, and it's almost always the human's fault. It's not the dogs anyway. Like with the potty training, they didn't have a tight enough ship. They were letting the dog go wherever. Anyway, they let it go on for so long, but something usually changes in their life. Like, I'm moving to a new apartment and I can't have them doing that. I'm getting new carpet and I can't have them doing that anymore. I'm getting married and I can't have that. You know what? Because before all that, that happened, that change of life stuff, they put up with it. They dealt with it.
Mhm.
They didn't think uh, dog training was worth the money. I don't know, or didn't have time for it until
Mhm.
they really needed it. And that's a shame because you're right. The as pet owners, there's more and more, but I really don't think the dog training has changed much. Oh, the
Mhm.
other thing I get a lot of calls is for dogs that have reactive behavior, that dogs
Yeah.
that are lunging, barking at other dogs they see. And like I said, people will put up with that because usually when I find out, they've been doing it since they were a puppy.
Mhm.
But when a little 10-pound, 15-pound lab is doing it, not a big deal. When the lab gets 60 pounds and is doing it, you can't even take them down the street and they're snarling and everybody's scared and holding their clutching
Mhm.
clutching their pearls and all that, then it becomes a problem. And then, can you fix this? So it's really, it's always been that way.
Yeah.
Dog training is more in the beginning, trying to convince people to do dog training as a preemptive
Yes.
thing is very difficult because if the dog is not misbehaving right then, people don't look at it as a need. They don't look at it as a need until it becomes one.
Mhm.
Whereas oh, I forgot about vet service. That's a big piece of the pie too. Vet services, grooming, food, all those are needs. You
Mhm.
have to do that. Dog training, it's not something you have to do
Mhm.
until it
Yeah.
becomes an issue, a behavior issue
Yeah.
that you have to take care of. And unfortunately, that's very unfortunate. So I think, but if I had my way, if I had a perfect world, everybody who gets a puppy or brings a new rescue dog into their home,
Mhm.
I would say dedicate 1 full year,
Mm.
consistent training, laying a strong foundation. 1 year.
Mm.
We have to send our kids to school for how many? 12?
Yes.
And that's just before they go off to college,
Mhm.
hopefully. 1 year. That's it. If
Mhm.
people were consistent through 1 year of very and then when I say training, not just teach like sit and giving them treats. No,
Mhm.
I'm talking about taking classes, doing online courses now. Oh my gosh, there's so many virtual courses now at the fingertip because I run some virtual courses. Anyway, do something where you're working with someone that is going to help you get your dog through that first year.
Mhm.
Oh man, would that make the biggest difference? You're going to have a dog that has such a strong foundation. You won't need to continue doing it after that, but you will have so much knowledge up
Mhm.
here on how to handle things. Your dog will have so much experience and so much foundation. You will have a great family member for
Mhm.
hopefully the next 10, 15 years or however long you're lucky to have that dog in your life. So yeah, 1 year. And that's a lot. I get it. People are busy. But like I said, now today you have virtual courses. There's really no reason when people have gone out and spent, I think the average golden doodle that I see online is $4,000, $5,000. When you've spent $4,000, $5,000 for the golden doodle, and you spend about, I don't know, $100 every 6 weeks to get them groomed. I know it's adding up. Uh,
Mhm.
and then you buy dog food that's like $60 a 50-pound, or no, it's not even that big, 30-pound bag maybe. That'll last you a couple months. Anyway, my point is, yes, things cost money. Dog training is like a very small in that. It's
Mhm.
very the best way, especially when you can start the dog training when there's no problem. Now, when you have to have like private behavior consultations and for behavior issues, yeah, that's gonna be more. But when you have a new dog there's nothing wrong with them, you just want to build that foundation. You can do that through group training classes. Local kennel clubs have them. Some of the box stores have them. That's kind of hit or miss. I have to be honest. A lot of
Mhm.
people that do that, they're kind of not.
Yeah.
That's not really their long-term profession. They're doing it for a little while. They might have been a cashier the week before, and they said, "I think I'll try training." But anyway, it's better than nothing. So don't get me wrong.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
you can find it, and like I said, but even better than that, you can find stuff on internet. And even if you don't want to pay any money, there are so many YouTube videos. There's a lot of information. I know I do all kinds of free content on all
Mhm.
of my social media. Oh, you have try training this like this, and
Mhm.
they're little short bits,
Mhm.
but at least it's something. But if you're going to devote time to consistently training, working with that dog every day, um, teaching them new things every day, getting them out in the world and letting them experience things every day. Like I said, for a solid year without fail. Like this is, I have to take Barney, blah, blah, blah. That's a part of my day.
Mhm.
A lot of people want to take their dogs for walks, but the unfortunate thing is a lot of dogs were never taught how to walk.
Yeah.
So it ends up being a frustrating experience for all involved.
Mhm.
Um, so, you know, the walks don't get enjoyable till the dog's older usually, and then they finally are walking nice just by trial and error over the years. But so yeah, you just have to make time for that dog. And I think like you hit on that. You people have to realize that this is a living, breathing animal that deserves and is counting on you to show
Mhm.
them how to live safely in this world. And part of that is being trained. And that's why I like the type of training that I do because it is very enjoyable. Don't get me wrong; it's serious in that it's not about he ha ha, isn't that? But no, strictness does not mean coercion, punishment, and it doesn't mean that. It just means follow through. It
Yeah.
means that I'm going to properly teach it, and I'm going to make sure that there's follow through. So that's what I think a year is the optimum.
Mhm.
A lot of people, and a lot of my clients, I'm like, just give me 6 months. Just
Mhm.
give me 6 months, which would also make a world of difference as
Mhm.
well. What
Yeah.
a lot of times what happens is people will like my group courses are usually only like 8 weeks long. So I have them for 2 months. And, good many people don't stick around after that. They've
Mhm.
learned quite a bit at 2 months. And then they continue to apply it. I'd say maybe about 1/4 of them, I get a call maybe about a year or two later
Mhm.
where the dog is backsliding.
Mm.
If they continued, that probably wouldn't have happened. And then a good thing is I have had people that only did that 2 months of training. And then I don't hear or see them again. And years later, I will see, they'll come in, I'll see the name, and I'm like, that looks like a familiar name. And it's them, but they have a new dog because the first dog that I worked with them had passed.
Mhm.
And they tell me, and it's very heartwarming when they say this, but they said, oh, that was the best money I ever spent. That
Mm.
dog was a wonderful dog. And I'm back again for this one. So I know even that 2 months gave them really good stuff. Like, I'm not gonna be foolish and say that made the dog was as good after two months that they would be after 6 months or a year. But it was good enough that those people loved that dog, kept that dog, remembered, and yeah, and their neighbors come back. Oh yeah, my neighbor said they loved your training, blah blah blah. So I get all of my advertising local has been word of mouth. I have
Great.
hardly spent anything on advertising.